Hi guys, and welcome back to Chef's Choice. It's time to talk about the second semi-final. I can only base my opinion on the footage that is available from the rehearsals, where we're not able to see all the camera angles, so obviously the performances can come across much differently on TV. You can find my opinion on the first semi-final as well as my reviews about the songs in the playlist up here. And if you'd like to hear what I think about the 6 automatic qualifiers and the actual live shows, just subscribe to my channel so you don't miss it. In my last video, a lot of people were saying that it was too negative for a lot of acts, but I'm not here to sugarcoat anything. I'm just talking about my personal opinion of the performances, and I simply was a little disappointed with the stagings in the first semi-final. So that's what came across. I want to see all the acts do well and give their best performance. And in my opinion, some countries have made questionable decisions in regards to their stagings. That doesn't mean that everybody has to agree. It's simply my opinion or just Chef's choice. So let's talk about the second semi-final. Serbia. Whereas the first semi-final starts with a highlight, I think the second starts off quite low. Dijana looks fabulous and her vocals are on point, but we've seen 3 women dressed in white in front of a blue stage in the first semi-final already, so the staging is clearly not standing out. And I still think she comes across as very distant and unapproachable, which was my main point of critique already for her performance in Amsterdam. So she's a non-qualifier for me. Austria. I have to say I was expecting something completely different. I loved the song and Nathan Trent's likability that felt so natural and light and made me smile every time I saw or heard it. Now they chose to create a whole fantasy scenery around it that puts it in its own bubble and makes it less approachable than I would like it to be. And there are quite a few of these fantasy worlds in this semi-final, so it's not standing out as much as it could. I don't understand how they could work out a concept for the music video, which is about him in the nature, climbing on top of a mountain to be free and to say, whatever you throw at me, I'm still going on, to a concept where he's suddenly standing in a Pixar musical far away from everything natural. Austria is not the only one that changed the whole world they created before, but I'm afraid it's lost its lightheartedness that made it so genuine and likable. But I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt and hope it qualifies. Macedonia. I really like the whole visual appeal of the stage during her performance. She does look a little bit lost on stage though, alone by herself, but I guess that's what they wanted. And of course it does make sense that she actually is dancing alone. There would have been options to make it more intimate though, so she doesn't need to fill up the whole stage by herself. I've always envisioned something like the bedroom in Katy Perry's Last Friday Night for this song. But I guess it can work on TV as long as there aren't too many wide shots of the stage. I wouldn't have thought this before, but I don't think a qualification is certain at this point, especially because she comes so early in the show. But I give it a probably yes. Malta. It's very classy and polished and exactly how this song should be performed. I would really be happy for Claudia if her efforts finally paid off after trying to get to the Eurovision for over 10 years. But I think it's simply not exciting enough compared to the rest to make it to the final. Romania. Happy, happy, joy, joy. Probably the most fun performance of the night. I think the animations in the background have really great moments, like the part at the beginning, but also some that feel a little cheap, like the polygon trees that look like they weren't rendered properly. I love that Ilinka and Alex seem to feel very comfortable on stage and know what they're doing and clearly are enjoying it. It's a very cohesive performance that works well. The only thing that doesn't quite make sense for me are the cannons in the end. But overall, really fun to watch and will be a surprise for the first-time viewers. So I do think it's going to qualify. The Netherlands. I'm just really blown away each time I see them about how finely tuned their harmonies are. They sing perfectly every single time. And this is a performance that stands out because of the song and the voices and doesn't rely on eye-catching visuals like others, which is a completely legitimate approach. It will be a little on the cheesy side, but for me it's the most heartwarming package this year and a definite qualifier. Hungary. I'm still on the fence about this one. It's exactly the same performance as in the national final, but it feels a little bit lighter. Maybe it's just because I've seen it a few times now or because of the larger stage, but it seems to me that it doesn't have the severeness anymore that I didn't like in the beginning. The connection between Yossi and the dancing woman somehow feels more romantic and less like a woman trying to get the man's attention. I find it really hard to guess whether people will vote for it or not. But because it's so unique and has such an authentic and traditional approach, I'm saying it will qualify. Denmark. This one climbed up a few ranks for me. So far I found it a little too loud and exaggerated, which of course is not a bad thing for the Eurovision, but simply not something that particularly appeals to me. But she seems to start off a little more relaxed now and have a clearer build-up to the climax in the end, so it's not on the highest level throughout the song anymore. And if Isaiah shouldn't qualify in the first semi-final, there's at least one Australian that will surely make it through, in my opinion. Ireland. Another fantasy landscape. This time balloon on the moon instead of moon in the clouds. Brendan Murray looks much more confident than in Amsterdam, and I really like his outfit for him as well. I just think the darkness of the staging doesn't correspond to the song. It does make it a little more mysterious and a little less cheesy though, which might be a good thing, but the balloon that he's standing on also never leaves the floor, so I'm not quite seeing the reason for it to be there, because it makes the performance very static, since Brendan never leaves his position. So I have mixed feelings about this, but even though I like the song a lot, I'm afraid it's not appealing enough to the majority of viewers and won't be qualifying. San Marino. I was never captivated by this song, and that's still the case. It looks tacky and cheap, and there's just a general lack of taste in my opinion, just like last year, so a definite non-qualifier for me. Croatia. What a surprise! I wasn't sure whether they can pull off a suitable staging for this song, but from what I've seen this could be a big surprise qualifier. Jacques is confident, and while his outfit probably is too over the top when you see it only from one position, it seems to work well on camera. They use their musicians and backup vocals remarkably well by including them into the performance rather than just having them stand on the same position. So I'm positively surprised and think Croatia can qualify. Norway. They kept the style of their national final performance both in the colour scheme as well as the stage setting. While it's surely unique and will stand out, I'm afraid it's not interesting enough to make people vote for it. The song itself grew on me over time and I really like it, but there's not enough dynamic in the performance to keep the viewers interested. And there are still lighting issues where Alexander's face is so dark that you can't see it, so they might have a chance, but it's quite slim. And for now, I put it in my non-qualifiers list. Switzerland. I'm really surprised by this staging. I never thought that Switzerland, my home country, takes a risk like that and goes all out with such a Disney staging where Hercules meets Beauty and the Beast. I thought they would go really safe into a classic ballad staging, so I'm impressed by that. When I was watching a recording from a static point of view with a total of the stage, I enjoyed it a lot and thought it could work really well. However, when I watched the official 30-second snippet with different camera angles, it all fell apart, because it suddenly felt very cheap and I felt like they completely missed the right shots at the right time. It all comes down to that. If they can make the cameras work in their favor, they're a definite qualifier, but if they don't, they miss it for sure. It's also comparable in style to Austria's performance, so I think only one of them will make it to the final. So because I already let Austria through, I have to say no to Switzerland, because it looks less sophisticated. But it might go either way. Belarus. Again, a staging that I wouldn't have expected. I'm not 100% sure that it was smart to have them be locked on the same position for the whole performance, but at the same time, this does create the possibility for them to have some really beautiful moments together. They are real, they enjoy themselves and the song, and the greatest thing to watch is their relationship with each other. And they are more or less the only ones that interact with the audience directly. However, I don't think it will work as well as I initially thought it would, because what I liked about them so far was their natural appeal, while the staging is very artificial, but I still think it's a sure qualifier. Bulgaria. Wow. Some people say we shouldn't be too hard on Blanche from Belgium because she's so young, but when you see what Christian Kostov, as the youngest contestant ever, brings to the stage, it's clear that stage presence and confidence isn't necessarily a question of age. I was never a huge fan of this song, but I could always see the appeal in it. Now he brings it to a whole other level with his performance. He's on point, his movements are precise, he's got expression in his face and his voice, he's very current, and he could have a great career ahead of him. What I find questionable though are the squiggly lines that seem to appear on the TV screen in certain moments. I feel like that's too much and isn't cohesive to the rest of the staging. So he's a star, but the staging isn't as impressive in my opinion. But there's no question that he qualifies and gets far in the contest. Lithuania. The performance is quite okay for half the song, but feels a little improvised. After that it becomes quite repetitive and the wind machine is far too strong. I think they did the best they could to not rank at the bottom of the semi-final, but the competition is too strong for them to qualify. Estonia. I have to say it looks much better than in the national final, but I'm still missing the connection between Koit and Laura. I get that it's about a broken or a complicated relationship, but I don't see a relationship at all. They are two separate people singing about the same problem. It is less stiff than before, but still feels very cold and controlled. The song itself will definitely get stuck in people's heads though, which is great so close to the end of the show. So I think it could still surprise me, but for now I don't think it will qualify. Israel. I don't think there's any question anymore about whether or not this qualifies. I wasn't particularly passionate about the song before, but there's no other act like this. Thousands of people will be drooling over this handsome guy. The staging works brilliantly, the choreography is great, and this is one of the big surprises for me, and coming right at the end, there's no way that he doesn't qualify. And he might actually get much further in the rankings than I thought. So that's my opinion on the rehearsals for the second semi-final. Tell me in the comments below who surprised or disappointed you the most. I'm much happier with this semi-final than the first one, but of course the rehearsals don't really count, so the ultimate test will be the live shows. Until then, thank you for watching and goodbye.